We don't want to hold you from the action. So let's dive into our very first match. DarkZero versus TSM. This has all the pressure on the shoulders of both of these teams because, Michael, one of them goes to the grand finals tomorrow. Who will it be? Let's get underway.
Let's do just that. Now, a little bit of context for you guys when you're going for the community vote. Yesterday, through the major, Bolo had a 6-0 entry, which means he won every time he entried. And Hot and Cold had a 6-1 entry. So they both played very well. They were actually both #1 for the day. So big ups to both of them. It could go either way for this match. Ying, Ashe, Valkyrie, and, well, it's Constellation. So Maestro? No, it's going to be the Womai. Will be the bands all locked up. A little bit different than what you would normally expect, especially for TSM. That was a little bit of an interesting band phase. I like what I'm seeing, though. This is neat.
I'm always down for a Ying ban. Yeah, these are... Well, I mean, these are bans that suit the way that the teams play, and Achieved noted yesterday in the way that the operators are banned that a lot of times teams like to ban operators that specifically target either Achieved's operator pool. We know that back when Buck used to get banned against him quite a lot. And then Merc as well. Force him off of that Ashe role. And we've seen Merc flex on Zofia and not perform even remotely close to the same. So it's a pretty good crippling blow, especially if DarkZero knows that they don't need an Ashe themselves, and they can play around those bans. And this is something that comes up all the time when we talk about operator bans. It's that a team that's banning the operator, I know that this sounds silly to say out loud, but it's a perspective that I'm sure newer players probably don't have. If a team is banning an operator, it means that they likely have an idea how to play around it. Now, with that said, was it the SSG DZ matchup yesterday, or was it the OXG, sorry, TSM matchup yesterday, where the double hard breacher ban obviously did not work as intended, and clearly they were not prepared for it. So we can speculate as to whether or not the ban is effective. We'll see how effective it is a couple rounds into this. TSM obviously will have to be the team to deal with, well, with no Ashe, but they've got 6 rounds on defense first.
A lot of people scoff at an Ashe ban. You know, and then others say, well, it's just a target ban to a specific player. And of course, yeah, I can understand the scoff. I can understand, you know, why you would think it'd be just a target ban. There's actually, you know, honestly, there's actually a solid reasoning behind that Ashe ban, though. As we've seen more utility get added into the game, operators like Zofia and Ashe have become very important in the utility game for their ability to destroy that utility and, you know, peel away layers of the defense. So it's a sensible ban, even if we're talking about the utility side of attack. And it's kind of funny that we have that conversation. Now, in Bosco's spot is Chala. He's going to be trying to deny a push from the balcony and the top of Visa stairs. This is not an easy spot to hold, but Smoke is probably the perfect operator to hold it. Achieved will be the first casualty, and it'll be by the Visa staircase. Eclipse in Visa itself, holding down that flank.
And Eclipse's entry yesterday was actually quite good too. Eclipse showing up big for the team and silencing some of the critics that have emerged over his play style as of late. I know that this DZ team has made a number of roster swaps over the last couple seasons to try and do what they can to be the best team in North America. Eclipse was a pickup that I think was very highly regarded, but the thing with DZ is that they play to a system, and a lot of times you'll see players pop off on teams that go quiet because they adhere to that system, which obviously punishes some of the flashier plays. And in this case, having a big match from Achieved yesterday, I think will do an awful lot just to quiet the voices of those that think that he hasn't been up to snuff. And if he has another good match today, then it will likely raise DZ's shots of being able to take down TSM.
Good drop there from Bolo. He's playing Doc. He can heal up Chala and get some more influence on this round, but he'll actually die as he rotates the statue. Now, the C4 from Merc was successful. Down goes Hyper. TSM, though, still losing not only control of the top floor, but too many bodies, too much HP. And since the Doc was one of the first 2 to be eliminated, Chala and Merc will remain where they are in terms of HP and will likely die in the next engagement they have. It's Chala the next one up. Houghton takes him down on top performer for yesterday, and definitely a big part of DZ's success. Now it's just Merc and Geo in the site, but there's only 10 seconds to go. And there might be yokai drones in play. Oh, there is. In the main lobby, one yokai drone spotted. And it'll stop the plant for the first try, but it's likely been shot now, so no more denial there for Echo. He has to shoot the player planting. The air jab prevents that, and DZ will clean up round 1.
What a thankless job for Geo. As the rest of the team dies around him, he uses the yokai drone as he needed to just to stop them, and then he gets spotted out. Honestly, a very strong entry from DarkZero up top. They took control of that second floor. It wasn't exactly the most ideal rotation from Achieved. Gets stuck on Visa stairs, and Eclipse is there and punishes him, and Eclipse has a big round. Then the isolation of the various members of TSM over towards Yellow Stairs on the other side of the map from Visa allowed DZ with, was it Mint, I believe, posted up on the main door right in the lobby to tackle that head on, and it forced the Mira who's playing in the bathroom to basically hold that spot. You couldn't really swing out all that well, and the Vector is not exactly a weapon that you want in engaging multiple enemies given its low damage, high rate of fire. You'll have to reload relatively quickly. Honestly, won and lost on the entry from DarkZero, and that ties into the question that we'd asked earlier, which was who was going to continue their hot entry. Now, obviously, Hot and Cold got 1 kill, but it wasn't necessarily on entry. Eclipse was the main spear of that attack, and he did admirably. He's going to be reunited with that Nomad role to see what more he can add to his stats. A garage defense for round number 2, and I suspect we're going to see a very similar style of defense on the first floor as we just saw on the lobby defense. And it does seem to be the case, as there's some setup being done inside of the bathroom. There's that hole in the floor of Piano, by the way, where you toss the C4 to get the X-Kairos or exothermic charge or whatever is going to go on the hard wall of bathroom.
I think the bottom floor is probably a safer bet. When you have a round like the one we just watched, the top 4 clear was just molasses. And at the same time, still successful for DZ. Impressive awareness for DarkZero on the control front. It reminds me of some of the things we see from other teams like SSG on how they are with their angles and their ability to lock up your roam. Clips, as you mentioned, Parker, probably the main part of that. It's going to be Maverick tricking on the garage. That's very dangerous and very time intensive, but we've seen a lot of this going on recently. It could be not necessarily, I'm not going to say safer, it can be more like a more reliable way of getting the wall open more often than not. Now, there's a lot of things you can do as a defender to make that Maverick tricking really annoying, but it usually involves wasting utility. Like the smoke, you put his gas canisters on the wall, but then he won't have the gas canisters to deny the plant, and he needs to have those. Geo eats a nade inside a kitchen. He's worse for wear. He'll die to anything. He's got to be very careful with his engagement.
Sheesh. Look at how low that HP is.
Yeah.
That's about as close to death as you can get with a frag grenade. Unlucky for DarkZero, but they're better on the entry this round as well. Down goes Bolo. So the Jaeger is not the role that you want to play on through these 2 rounds, as Achieved was dead in round number 1 on this role, and now Bolo is gone too. And this is a very typical DarkZero take onto that garage wall. We've seen them axe out or carve out that little portion of the garage wall, and now it looks like they're ready to go. Hot and Cold second grenade will find the remainder of Geo, and down goes the Mira. It's a 5v3 for DarkZero. They'll storm into the bomb site. Merc manages to take out Hyper. Skies collects his second kill. The Nomad of Eclipse on Yellow Stairs will do enough to distract as Diffuser gets planted. That's going to leave just Merc in a 1v4, which very quickly becomes a 1v3. But he's lying prone by pipes. Diffuser is down, 10 seconds off of the clock. He's still got time to go, but we talk about this time and time again, how challenging it is to retake. He won't be able to do anything. The 3 remaining members of DarkZero clean up, and DZ up to a 2-0 lead.
So you can see clearly why the Wamai was not necessarily the best ban for TSM, considering how successful those Capital bolts were at debilitating the defense. Not only that, but the grenades, I think they speak for themselves, and getting that pick on the Mira inside of Kitchen So far, it's been working against TSM that they got rid of the Womai. And the Jaeger, again, not able to catch the Capital bolts. More importantly, there's only so much the ADSs can do in this day and age. Most attacking teams are bringing many sets of stuns to try and carve through not only the ADSs, but when they're available, the magnets from Womai as well. It's just commonplace in this meta. You know, having a set of stuns is a really big part of whether or not you're getting picked. And I think that's kind of funny because it's widely considered to be one of the most inconsistent and unreliable sets of utility or gadgets or whatever you want to call it. And yet it's so crucial at times. You could use other things like smokes too. But anyway, the point is, I guess the throwables / projectiles, depending on which, have been a major factor here for DZ. But not only that, they're just getting picks as well. I don't know where Bolo died, but the fact that he's dying early on without any response from the rest of TSM is really unfortunate. It puts TSM in a super difficult position. You know, usually in those scenarios, you want to go a little bit aggro and try to get a frag back. But DZ didn't offer that opportunity to TSM. And, well, it just continued to spiral out of control for the defense.
Bolo died on yellow stairs, by the way. I looked from his positioning that he's either trying to hold piano or he was upstairs and he got spotted out as he was coming down the stairs to vending machines. That's at least where the indicator was. That's where we saw the corpse.
The roamer picked off.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not unusual for teams to roam on the second floor when it's a garage defense either. That's something that we do see somewhat commonly. I don't want to say that commonly because...
All the time, Parker. All the time. Never not that.
My apologies for misspeaking there, Michael.
No, I'm just kidding.
Teller's Archives, things seem to be all right in the world with 4 nitro cells in the hands of TSM. Now, one of the things that we saw, and the point of reference we can make yesterday on Consulate, is that there are many opportunities where an early pick can snowball into putting somebody downstairs to permanently waste the time of one of those C4s. Even getting one single nitro cell off the board is huge for the attackers. And there's that game of almost like cat and mouse. We used to call it a rhythm when it was bank. If you remember, they used to try to plant in the bank doorway or the breach that was open up next to the door, etc.
I remember that.
Now, when you look at this A-bomb site, most of the floor is going to be shot to hell. Down goes Bolo. So, as I said, you get that first pick, it snowballs. This is big. Bolo's had a rough game so far. Stark contrast to the way that he played yesterday. Skies punishes him. So far, DarkZero is 3 for 3 on their entry, and that's a huge pick. But the good news is, Bolo doesn't have access to a nitro cell. There goes a C4. No, yes. Hyper takes out Geo, and a diffuser goes down. This is a blunder from TSM. They had no intel. Achieved obviously not doing his role on that pulse scanner, or very least being stopped by somebody on DarkZero. And DZ's going to be able to get away, and they'll just sweep right through. Knocked on over is the Pulse. Eclipse with 2 kills of his own, leaving now Chala to try and hold off against a round that becomes flawless. 3 kills for Eclipse. Eclipse right now, he's on fire today. DarkZero's on fire. They're up 3-0.
This hasn't just been a pretty one-sided map so far. It's been an absolute slaughter. That round right there, I believe the IQ was suppressing the pulse, preventing him from using his heartbeat detector. And as such, there was no info on the site, no awareness that the plant was going down from TSM. I also want to take a moment to point out the fact that Bolo didn't make a mistake there. He didn't get picked off because he's bad or he over peaked or exposed himself unnecessarily. Skies made a hole in the floor and then pre-fired through a wall that wasn't open onto the mirror window. And he just happened to, Bolo just happened to be sitting right in front of the mirror window, and he died to that pre-fire. And, you know, that's not Bolo necessarily making a huge mistake. Like I said, that's really just Skies having next level awareness and knowing exactly what he would be doing if he were playing that mirror window, shooting there and getting a kill. Well done to Skies for that early pick. You talked about how integral those are to, you know, taking the round and continuing the momentum, and it worked out well for DZ. It's working out well for DZ. Again, the IQ was a big factor there. Eclipse taking control of Garage and basically solo holding it as a nomad because he's got the air jabs to support him, so you can kind of make yourself feel like more attackers as a nomad. Huge factor as well there because that stifled the defense. They didn't feel like they could really go anywhere. They felt, I'm sure they felt very claustrophobic inside of the site. It's been a rough map so far for TSM. I gotta say, DZ is reading this map very well.
I've been impressed with DZ yesterday, and I continue to be impressed today. And the one big knock that a lot of people like to say against a team like DarkZero is that they can stick to the script really well. When things go awry, they can't make the adaptations they need. And I think 3 rounds is too soon for us to say, oh, no. He gets gunned down. Skies just vaults right on in. DarkZero decides that it's a rush. And they managed to keep it relatively close. TSM still in the lead, but now it's even. Down goes Hot and Cold, and it'll leave Eclipse in a 1v2. There's still 2 minutes and about 10 seconds left in this round. Now about 2 minutes, actually. But it's going to put Eclipse in a 1v2, and he's just going to play aggro as he can. Inside of the bathroom, nobody's there. Diffuser is down. He'll have to pick that one back up. It's being watched very keenly by Achieve. Vaults on in, and he loses the fight. TSM finally take their very first round. It's a trade, actually. Oh, my goodness. That came very close. It was a brazen attempt. Chala last alive just because he stayed upstairs, and, well, he rode the wave, man.
I'm glad we got the perspective that we did, because I think we can say pretty certainly that Achieved was the hero of that round. He was in the right place at the right time, and he didn't miss his shots. That's key. The rush coming in through the main door, and the rush through the piano window might have actually worked out for DZ if Achieved had not been on Jaeger in piano. So right time, right place, right player. Well done to Achieved. TSM take their first round, and yeah, good stuff to them. DarkZero obviously feeling the confidence there. And I'm sure a lot of you probably noticed Eclipse, that's his first time dying, actually. In fact, it's the first time dying for Hot and Cold, too. They've really been pretty untouchable so far. They got to be careful with plays like that, though. I hope that DarkZero doesn't make too many more of those. Taking that risk, even if you're up a few rounds, can be dangerous.
Back down to Garage they go. And there's a couple sleepers on TSM right now. I don't expect, and I'm sure you would agree, that this will last for the remainder of the match. I suspect that we will see more lively performances from both Geo and Bolo. The thing with somebody like Chala is that Chala's often on a roll where he's probably going to be last alive most rounds. And if things go sideways, as they have so far, then the issue you're going to find is maybe he gets 1 kill before getting traded off. And that's sort of the position he's in right now. I mean, you saw the way that he was playing Smoke on the previous round. He was upstairs playing safe, playing off that diffuser. He wasn't involved in any of the action. That was Achieved, actually, holding bathroom to try and get the cross on Eclipse.
Look at that. Look at that hole Achieved made in the piano floor leading up to the bathroom hallway, or Z, as we call it. I love that, because when Achieved falls down, when he drops, he can throw his C4 through that hole, through the wall, and kill a Thermite or a Maverick if he happens to be opening up the wall next to the drop down. That's so clever, because even just its presence prevents the enemy from going for hard destruction on the wall. And we've seen that a few times already through this major. It's just a nice little tidbit that's been useful for a lot of different teams.
DZ assembling over at the Garage as, yes, I mean, that play upstairs in piano is going to be really interesting to watch. A number of teams have done this. We saw it yesterday a couple times on the consulate matches that we witnessed, and it's become quite standard. And you see that Achieved is still doing some setup work, because I think he's aware that there won't be much of an emphasis on that bathroom wall. DarkZero's focus is very clearly on the Garage panels down below, as they've already been carved wide open, as we had seen before. And Hot and Cold still has 1 frag grenade remaining. He was very good with them on the previous attempt here, but what is he going to be able to make work this time? TSM, I don't expect, will be quite as welcoming of those grenades getting tossed out, and I could see a more conservative play from them.
So far, waiting game for TSM. No early pick for DZ this go-around. Only a minute left for that execution. Still plenty of utility to cut off the lines of sight for the defense. Got those Capital bolts in play. Air jabs have all been placed. Skies has got a lot of soft destruction, but nowhere to really use it because they don't have piano control yet. Now, he's actually going to do a little bit of damage to Achieved, whether he knows it or not, just spraying a shotgun through the windows. And he's actually going to force Achieved back into the bathroom. There's that early pick. It's Bolo once again to be the first death, and it'll be at the hands of Mint. Bolts go in. Here comes that execution at the last 3 seconds.
And they'll choke off one of the entry points from the garage, but DZ decides to just run right through it. Hot and cold, attempting the plant. They'll have to gun down Geo, playing off of that rotate. So far, so good for TSM. They find 2 picks, but they've lost Chala in the process. That's about it, as all the remaining members of DZ are completely wiped off the board, leaving the Buck of Skies above in a 1v4. He's not even able to drop at all. Very nearly a flawless round for TSM. They manage to just hang on and then beat DZ in every subsequent gunfight. The second round for TSM is on the board, and second in a row as well.
A loud answer back here from TSM in response to those 3 early rounds for DZ. That was a very assertive retake of the garage. You don't actually usually see that. So typically on a garage retake, you're going to wait for control to be lost, or you're going to try to retake a post plan. And, you know, obviously that's not ideal. But what we just witnessed there from TSM is, again, more assertive play than is common. What they did is, in the middle of the attacker's take into the garage, TSM also pushed into the garage. Again, an uncommon strategy, the one that I love to see. I think it worked very well. DZ were clearly not prepared for it. You know, you were talking earlier about how sometimes DarkZero can struggle if their opponents are doing things that are unexpected. Maybe that was one of those times, as TSM certainly made plays there that I think DZ just were not thinking were going to happen in that retake by the Black Car side of Garage. All the kills went the way of TSM. And even if they hadn't, even if there were an exchange there, TSM might have still been able to have maintain the advantage, because they got too many frags early in the fight that were unanswered. It's curious that it barely even came down to the utility. The smokes were a factor. They repositioned the attack and forced them to sprint an extra little bit. And maybe that won some of the engagements for TSM. But I'd say for the majority of that, it's just TSM guns up, winning fights on their retake at Garage. Well done to them.
This is a very final defense as we go on over to Teller's Archives, and the curious case of Console Office continues. No. Didn't see it yesterday. We're not seeing it today.
You know, rightfully so. It's honestly, it's too easy to get a pick on that site.
You cited the stats for it yesterday and how abysmal it is for the defenders. So, I mean, well, you don't need to be a professional to know that you don't want to be playing on a bad bomb site, Michael. So,
right. I mean, there's been some maps we have seen, like in the qualifiers, for example. CEO was, for some teams, a good site, but at the same time, small sample size there. If you zoom out, then yeah, it's been reliably bad in North America, at least.
This is a very different setup on a Teller's Archives defense from TSM, and I don't know how to feel about it right now. I mean, they've castled off most of Visa. They have an Oryx in play, one fewer or one lower amount of C4, one less, one fewer. Brain words. Anyway, you know, they've only got 3 C4s. You do the math yourself.
I think it's one fewer, technically.
I don't know, because it's not anyway. Somebody will correct us. I feel like people will be split anyway.
Well, it also depends on.
This seems like TSM is designed just to waste time. It's not a retake style of strategy. And I mean, right now, DZ is going to run headfirst into Geo, and Merc will flank up yellow stairs and might catch somebody off guard as well. And there you go. He finds Skies. So it's a retake strategy of sorts, but it's retaking the bomb site. No, it's retaking that top floor. There's the very first kill for DarkZero. It's on a Bolo. Bolo's still looking for his very first kill. Missed opportunity there from the Oryx of Merc. He gets punished by Hyper, who's now heating up himself. DarkZero finds 2 kills in a row, and now we're back to a 3v3.
Big ups to Hyper there. That was a huge stop. If he had allowed Bolo and Merc to retake on yellow, then it could have completely crippled DarkZero's attack, but Hyper managed to shut that down. And also, they've still got the IQ in play. That's massive. The Q will be able to prevent the Pulse from using his cardiac sensor, as long as Pulse exposes himself, and he is doing just that. No kill there, but again, the sensor is not in use. Oh, and actually it is! He brings it out anyway! C4 ready, but it misses! A great dodge there from Min. Good teamwork, but the second C4 lands. Hyper gets his third kill of the round, though, and all the C4 is now gone. Hyper's been eliminated, but Hot and Cold is going to be able to get this plant. There's no, not all the C4 is gone. Still one on Geo, but he's retaking the site. He gets in position, but loses the fight. A terrible blunder. Now a 1v1, and with the UMP against a G8, no less. But it looks like Geo will get picked up. One more gun on the board. You can see Hotten's wary of someone trying to disable that diffuser. He's going for top floor control as a priority. Oh no, this could be perfect for Pulse, but the dodge is out, and those shots land, and Achieve will take it. 2 kills for him in the round. Great information, and Geo gets the disable.
And just like that, TSM is back in this game. DZ's 3-0 lead vanishes entirely in front of our eyes. Both of these teams, as we come to see on a map like Consulate now, find themselves tied up, and we'll head into the second half at essentially the same scoreline on which we started, which is neither team having any significant advantage. That round was a real roller coaster if you looked at the way that the teams played around it. It went from a very early start to TSM, 2 kills, and they managed to do so by just going unchecked. DarkZero either not able to drone because there's a mute on the board, or not exactly expecting those players to be in that area. And I know that we harp on the way that teams drone, but there are plenty of times where a team won't drone as thoroughly because they are aware of the fact that teams don't usually play on this part of the map. You'll drone it out very quickly, maybe not as thorough as you could be, and then you go about your day. Problem was that TSM was able to fly under the radar. They get 2 picks off of it, immediately answered back by Hyper upstairs, as TSM seemed very keen to challenge that Merc in particular. And with the way that Merc has been playing so far on defense, why not? You have the confidence. You're very clearly showing that you have the skills. Take that engagement. DarkZero immediately pivots. They try to put some pressure on the bottom floor. As you've noted, there was not as many C4s available. Hot and Cold goes for the plant, very nearly sticks it, but then kind of flubs it in the post plant. He thinks there might be somebody playing in copy, or maybe somebody towards Spiral Stairs, but no, it's over by Visa. It's a tough situation to find yourself in, especially after Geo had been picked back up and TSM found themselves up in numbers. But that was DZ, I think, once again, reading off of the round quite well. And even though it was a lost round for DarkZero, it shows that they are very clearly more comfortable through the mid-round. Say goodnight. Skies tucks Merc in on round number 7. The Zofia gone, and so far, the best player for TSM in this matchup will not be able to do anything on the very first attack for his team.
Not just the best player. Currently, if you look at the scoreboard, in terms of engagements, Merc has the backpack. And yeah, it's going to be rough not having him. Really good initial pick there for DZ. I think that the brazenness of that pick was actually a good thing right now, as it seems like TSM are just still barely managing to get their feet under themselves. He almost went for another one. One little fun thing is, if you're wondering why Bolo was shooting the wall, he's trying to cover the sound of his rappel for the newer viewers. I know that seems obvious to many of you, Siege veterans, but I was just trying to inform. Now, the garage panel will get opened up. Panel number 1 first. That's going to give good access to the front of white, or default as many call it. It is odd that this is... Oh, by yellow, Bolo will pick up a kill. That's his first one in the map. That's going to be Skies, who seem to be rotating back to the site. Bad timing there for Skies.
And it's just going to get worse, but both teams going back and forth. And now DarkZero coming out on top. The mirror window falls in front of Hot and Cold, and Geo will have to try to take matters into his own hands. Nitro Cell above him on the white van, but it goes off and does no damage. It's Hot and Cold to take it as he pulls out his gun and does the rest of the work on his own. The one-man army. DarkZero wins their very first defense, and you got to think a lot of that came from the fact that Merc got taken out very early on. Hard to pivot when you're playing the entire round in a 4v5, especially with Zofia being as critical a utility operator as she has been as of late.
Yeah, she's definitely super important. You get rid of a lot of things with the impacts. The stuns are always useful for engagements. And then, yeah, just Merc's gun in of itself. Well done to Skies for that early pick. Also, the setup from TSM was a bit weird. You know, they set up in an array around the site. They seem to want to execute from all angles. And then that, you know, that could have potentially worked, but they didn't have enough manpower in position to refrag each other, if that makes sense. So, for example, you got your sledge by kitchen door, and he could do some work there, but he misses his shot, and that's fine. It would be fine if there were one other attacker with him to get the kill in response to Sledge's death, but there's not, because maybe it's because you lost someone early in the round. Maybe it's just because the planning wasn't there. Whatever the case be, definitely needed to see more refrag potential in TSM.
TSM as a whole have been, like I said, they've been having some difficulties being able to pull off some of the plays that I think they want to play. And on a map like Consulate, a map that they have not lost since SI, and a map that they have proven to be quite strong on, and I think plays into their style of play quite well, I would be a little bit frustrated. Now, the one thing for TSM fans that they can be buffeted by, and buoyed by, rather, is that this does tend to be a 3-3 map. DarkZero is going to win a couple rounds. TSM will inevitably win some rounds on attack. I mean, I'd be surprised if they don't. That was quite the toss from Mint, by the way, and obviously very well planned, but there's nobody even remotely close to receive that nitro cell through the console office windows.
I wish we wish we saw exactly where that was. Early pick there. Skies will go down. Merc just punching a hole into the window, and he'll pick up one. But immediate response from DZ. All right, then. DarkZero not missing a beat, putting it back to even man count.
And it's Merc that goes down as well. Now, you don't want to point out individual performances, but you do have to kind of take a critical eye as to how TSM is playing, especially with the sleepers that they have on this squad. Achieved and Merc are very much leading the way, responsible for 17 kills. Geo, Chala, and Bolo add up to just 5. That is terrible, and there's no real way to sugarcoat that. You're going to need a better performance from those 3 players, and I think part of it is that DarkZero plays this stifling style on Consulate. On attack, they weren't really giving a ton of opportunity for TSM to be able to land those counter punches. You referred to it as trading. They need to be able to refrag, and it's something that TSM has really struggled with. I don't know if it's just on the side of coordination, or maybe TSM needs some time to warm up and get accustomed to this DZ style of play, but clearly something is wrong for TSM right now, given that it is their map too.
Clips trying to contest in projector still. He's got at least 3 attackers vying for control upstairs, and he'll fall back. That's probably the right call as we hit the last minute. That's also going to prompt Mint to rotate somewhat, get a better position. You know, he doesn't know he doesn't need to deal with CEO, but he doesn't. And he'll expose himself unwittingly to Bolo, picks up his 2nd kill. We've been critiquing, saying that he needs to start coming alive, and maybe this is going to be his round. It's TSM have that top floor control. They've got the soft destruction, and they've got the man advantage. It's looking pretty good for them as we hit the last 30 seconds of the round.
There's 2 toxic canisters left from Eclipse as he watches that B-bomb doorway into the main lobby. Back up is Hyper, not too far off. But the upstairs control from TSM can prove to be quite tricky to deal with. Down goes Geo and the diffuser as well. Eclipse knocked out. He's going to have to run as best as he can, and he gets caught heading back in. Hot and Cold has his back. A 2v2 with diffuser down. Hyper gets a pick, and it's all on the shoulders of Achieve now, who won't make it out of the main lobby. DarkZero in the final 20 seconds just takes out the broom and sweeps up the trash. DZ out to a 5-3 lead.
The thing that I love to see most about DarkZero, the way that they're playing right now, is the fact that they're just making every play they think they want to make. We're not seeing a lot of... something happens with DarkZero sometimes where, you know, you mentioned it earlier, they have this plan, and if the plan doesn't work, then they just get really passive, like they don't know what they're doing, like they're not sure, like they've never played at this level before. That's happened before with DarkZero. We've seen it. I think many people have experienced this when watching them, and it can be odd. It can be really weird to look at, because you see this titan of a team just absolutely fall by the wayside. Almost looks like they're playing, you know, asleep at the wheel, and we're not seeing that at all from DarkZero today. I think that the thing I'm enjoying most about this match thus far is that DarkZero is just playing their game. They're just doing their thing. You know, and they're not second guessing. If one of the players on DZ wants to make a play, if they want to go for a fight, they're just doing that. And because DarkZero is not inside their own head, or at least that's how it seems right now, they're playing so well. It's I think it's the confidence of, I practiced this, I know I can make this work. The assurity of, if I don't make this work, one of my teammates will make it work. And the cohesion and refinement that comes after all the practice hours that DarkZero put in. It's culminating here in what I believe to be a very impressive form of DarkZero that I don't see very often. And I just hope for their sake that they can keep it consistent into future matches.
Night and day from the DarkZero as well in stage 1 of the US division that I think many people, as the stage went on, thought these guys might not even make it to the major, especially with how the Sonics were heating up. And that DZ Sonics matchup that you and I actually casted was really electrifying. And it established the Sonics as a real contender, but DarkZero has just made some significant strides since then. I know that there'd been some talk from their players that they benefit more from the downtime and not having to immediately prep for a match just a day or two later. I get it. But DarkZero is always at their best when they have time to pick apart their opponent's counter-strat heavily and be prepared for the madness that's going to come. And right now, it's certainly showing, as they are only 1 round away from match point here on Consulate. 2 rounds through on their defense, though. And, well, as you look, TSM have taken control of that second floor, and I think an opportunity for Hyper has maybe presented itself. He'll try to contest over by Connector. He misses out on the opportunity. Eclipse taking some damage as he's playing down below. This is a Teller's Archives defense, as we come to expect with the 3rd bomb site now. And it's a good split from DZ all over the map. The question is going to be, how well can they work together over the remaining 80 so odd seconds against this TSM wrecking crew upstairs?
Lots of control established from these long angles. And the cool thing about being on that tippity top floor is that you're not very exposed to C4s when compared to trying to actually contest the site. So what he's doing here is he's opening up above the site so he can see through the pre-made holes by the defense and potentially pick off one of the defenders with the C4 down below. Hasn't worked out like that just yet, but it could. It certainly could. That Sophia impact is going to give more line of sight to the attackers downstairs, and it's actually strategically placed above one of the common highways on the bottom floor. Geo will be the one to greet a C4 inside of Visa. It works out for hot and cold very well there. And that's diffuser down. It'll be picked up by Achieve, though, who can now retake the bomb site. There's still a chance here for TSM, but with the C4 in stock for DZ and the information aplenty, the plant is unlikely to go down. You can see that it's being called out by Skies right now. Mint should be able to get that C4 off, but it misses. There's still one more. It's Skies' C4. He's going to have to rotate really quickly, though, if he wants to get this down. It looks like he might have stopped it, at least by forcing off, but all the while, TSM are picking up frags, looking through those holes. The air jab is preventing the rotate there, and even more guns come alive for TSM, as it's just Mint in a 1v4 post-plant. Not likely to be able to take this one. He'll do some damage to Achieved, so there's a little bit of work done, but so far, the game plan working out very well for the attack. Full HP almost, so Mint will have a leg up in 1 or 2 engagements, maybe, if he plays this right. He won't get to them, though, as Merc catches him on an off angle, and TSM take the round.
It sure did seem like everything was there for DarkZero when the plant was supposed to be going down. You talked about it yourself, and I very much would agree. And I think most observers would agree, too. But things got quite messy for DarkZero when the plant was being attempted. I don't know if it was poor communication. I don't know if it was just TSM very deftly dodging around any of those nitro cells that could be tossed up. I'm not sure. For us, we can always speculate. Could have been poor comms, even though DarkZero is not usually a team that has poor comms by any stretch. Not sure. But DZ seemed to have the round on a platter in front of them. And within their grasps, it was match point. Nitro cell misses. TSM, their setup on that second floor was perfect. Not only did they have all the lines of sight that were necessary in a post plant, but it also meant that any retake that was going to happen, whether it be for the plant going down or at the end, would be caught. And that's what happens when you allow teams to get comfortable on Teller's Archives. They're going to set up on that second floor. They're going to set up, and they're going to just punish you inside a small office. They're going to camp out by the top of Visa's stairs, and they're just going to sit and wait very patiently, and that's what happened. And you also have lines of sight even deeper down when you're playing upstairs through the hatches that'll be opened up, and then through the floor that's been shot out on the bomb site in Tellers. Well played by TSM. A bit of a missed opportunity from DarkZero. TSM got comfortable. DZ wasn't able to take back the control from the map they needed. And now this is a much closer game. DarkZero is so tantalizingly close to that match point. They're going to have to work really hard for it.
Yeah, good job to TSM for making that so. Now, a lot of teams, I feel like after the initial salvo we've seen from DarkZero might have been a little bit discouraged, but not seemingly TSM. And also, while those slightly more quiet members of TSM haven't fully come alive, they are at least getting a spattering of kills here and there, and that's good. That's important. Impact frags matter, and I'm just happy for TSM to finally, seemingly, find a little bit of a stride. We'll see if they can keep that up, though. You know, you never want these matches to be as one-sided as DZ have some of these rounds been making them seem. Or making it seem, I guess, in this case.
Once again, the story for TSM has been the contributions from Merc achieved. Hasn't really been much of a wake-up for the rest of the team. Down goes Geo. Oh my. You've just lost your one hard breach and now an engagement that will happen between Merc and Eclipse. It doesn't work out for either of them, and immediately Eclipse will scoot off. A garage defense without a thermite. Was he able to get off any of the exothermic charges? That's going to be the question, because if not, and the answer is no, he was not able to get any of them off. That is really challenging.
Oh, no.
None of the hatches will be opened up. None of the garage panels will be opened up. You are going to have to fight your way in. You're going to be going in at a significant disadvantage for TSM. None of those reinforcements, none of those hatches. And the big thing, too, are the hatches. If you can play in cafeteria, that staff area, you don't need to worry. The bathroom hatch, you don't need to worry. Yeah, you still need to be careful about the roof above you or the ceiling above you and piano, but that's about it. Man, that is a damning blow to TSM's chances here.
Just think about it like this, guys and gals. There are effectively, at this point, after this drop gets opened up, there are 4 entry points. There's this drop, Visa stairs, spiral stairs, and yellow stairs. Harry Potter nade, though, will work out. Down goes Hot and Cold. The second nade will confirm the kill. Unlucky for Houghton that the nade is there. So at least there's an answer back for that earlier kill onto Geo. Only 30 seconds left, though. It's still not a great position for TSM to find themselves in. Another drop, though, opened up, offers another opportunity to get downstairs. Hyper gets Chala, but there's an immediate response from Merc, who had already dropped through utility. Even man count persists, and Diffuser will be retrieved, though there's not a lot of time left. And as Bolo goes down trying to entry, it's going to be a second one for Eclipse. Possibly a third, as Achieved eliminates Skies and puts the pressure on Eclipse's SMG. Now Shotgun, as he whips it out, the pre-fire's perfect, and Achieved might just get this, but the prone or crouch, either way, in the nick of time, through the wall, prevents the 4K. That was tantalizingly close there for Achieved.
He got caught swapping weapons, and I think he wanted to pull trigger there, but he just couldn't do it. Man, that came so close. If I was a nail biter, I was biting my nails, let's be honest.
Certainly.
That comes very, very close. And I think, honestly, some of it, too, just falls down to TSM knowing where DarkZero was going to play. They were able to win those fights. We saw from the perspective of Eclipse that the sledge was on the screen for 2 seconds, I think. And that was it.
Yeah, not even.
Sorry, 2 nanoseconds. I say seconds, then I realize, it's faster than that.
Yeah. I mean,
not quite.
It was a pre-fire from Achieved. There was no way it was anything else. That was beautiful.
Knowing where the rotate had happened. I mean, you've got the mute of Eclipse that's playing by the bottom of spiral stairs. He heads into small office. All right, you know that he's going to be in there. So just pre-fire the opening. Chances are he's going to be playing a very tight angle with a shotgun, because that is going to be simply put, the best way for you to win that gunfight. That shotgun, if you say your prayers, right? It does it's a one-hit kill. If not, then it takes about 4 blasts to kill somebody.
That is one of the more consistent shotguns, but yeah, it can really...
Pojo tweeted, it was either Pojo or Necrox, I can't remember which one of them. Somebody tweeted, I think it was Pojo, being like, I feel like you have to believe in the shotgun or else it doesn't work.
It's true. It's true.
It does not function at all.
I'll be honest, I've always believed in that shotgun, and it has never let me down.
Well, that's all that matters then.
In all these years of Siege.
Now, 3 rounds from DarkZero on defense. That's what we've seen so far from both of these teams. TSM took 3 on their defensive half. DarkZero took 3 on attack. Now, as DZ have taken 3 on defense. Now, 2 more rounds for TSM to be able to tie this one up and send us to overtime. If not, then we look towards Clubhouse, a map that was played by both teams yesterday. And, well, they both won it, though in much more dominant fashion for TSM with a 7-1 victory over Oxygen. It was 7-4 for DarkZero over Space Station on that Clubhouse map. DZ 6th picked into the Clash, and we know how good Mint is on this role. That is going to be troubling for TSM. Now, the good news is they have a couple counters. Number 1, they've got frag grenades. Number 2, they've got EMPs to disable the shield. They can knock it around with the concussions from Merc's Zofia. And then if the Clash puts herself in a position where there's an air jab in play, she can get knocked over. And Nomad ends up being quite a good counter as well. So there are tools here for TSM to deal with it, but Mint is a smart player. And, well, as long as he stays relatively safe, this is going to be a major thorn in the side for TSM that just might be too hard to pull out.
Yeah, Clash is a pain. I mean, there's nothing else, to say about that. She's just a real pain. She's very annoying to deal with. She's going to soak up a lot of time. The only real advantage that you're afforded when the enemy picks a Clash is that you've got one less gun actively engaged. And usually that isn't a huge deal for most teams on defense. Eclipse goes for a very brazen play. He gets away unscathed, so that's okay. And again, this is more of DarkZero, like I said earlier, just doing what they feel is right. C4 will miss there. It was baited out successfully by Geo. Well played. Good effort. TSM will be able to open up the wall with the Habana. The drop is not being watched, and so Eclipse gets out. Cheed will be eliminated by Houghton from, oh my gosh, this angle from the basement through the middle floor all the way to the window on the balcony. The upside down rappel achieved, eliminated, and that is a very big frag.
And it's coming out as well on a console office defense. So things that surprise us. Mint on the Clash, not that surprising, but it's funny because out of all the things that we can focus on in this particular round, that is going to be one that sticks in people's minds. And expect to see that angle a few times, I would imagine. Skies takes a bit of damage, but out goes one of those toxic canisters. He knows he's not likely to be able to do it again without a pre-fire. 20 seconds left for TSM. That's it. They are running out of time, and they are running out of time very quickly. They have not been able to confront this Clash head on, and they'll have to just go on in. There's disabled of the shield as the EMP hits. Geo sprints in. He'll need to try to plant in the corner. Down goes Merc. And now Skies will swing out, but Geo is prepared and ready for it. He'll take the fight to Mint, and lots of damage being done, but that's it. Timer's on 0. All Mint needs to do is stop it, and he'll do that with the hip fire. Nobody watching as the Jaeger comes to the rescue. The map, it's TSM's, but it goes in favor of DarkZero. They steal it away, 7-4.
Absolutely massive round there for DarkZero. You could see clearly the way